This week on Unscripted, we have news on CM Punk and Brock Lesnar in the UFC. What is Dana White told about both men? Triple H on the real reason they cleared Daniel Bryan, and will WWE be moving to Fox next year? All this and more on the future #1 podcast on YouTube.com. This is your weekly Unscripted. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Franz, and we are here for another episode of Unscripted, episode 14 for the Wrestlemania weekend for 2018. We are one day from Wrestlemania. Tonight will be NXT TakeOver New Orleans, which is, in my opinion, the main show you need to see this week. WrestleMania is stacked, but I feel more disappointment than joy coming out of that. This week is going to weekend. Everyone's going to be talking about NXT, but if you want to check out my preview and predictions on that, go check out the channel. It's there. There's a lot of news again. There's not much news. There is a good bit of news, but not much. But I do want to talk about some breaking news that happened earlier today. If I can find the picture, there it is. Breaking news, and okay, it's not going to show it the way I wanted to. Al Snow, and I'll fix this up here in a second. Al Snow has purchased OVW, which I don't know what that's going to entail, how he's going to do this. There we go, get this a little bit more. Yes, Al Snow has purchased OVW. Ohio Valley Wrestling is now going to be run by Al Snow. I don't know what he's going to do with it. I hope he does well for OVW. I know it's not that big a deal to a lot of people, but it is. If anybody does know the WWE history, it was their development territory from I believe the year 2000 to about 2006 or 7 or 8. So to see Al Snow, who was actually a trainer in OVW when Impact Wrestling was also had ties with OVW, taking over for Danny Davis, which I don't know if Danny Davis is still there or not. Well, that is great for for OVW, and I'm sure Al will do great things for Ohio Valley Wrestling. Now, on to the news. Before we get to the news, though, I do want to talk about the Hall of Fame that happened yesterday. It was a pretty good show. Some people were saying this is an underwhelming class. I don't buy that. No class is underwhelming if you have Goldberg, the Dudley Boys, Ivory to some extent, Jeff Jarrett, who has more of a outside the wrestling ring career, in my opinion, that is Hall of Fame worthy than his in-ring career. So it was a pretty darn good show. The Dudley Boys, if you have not seen this show yet, you need to go watch this. Edge and Christian's induction of the Dudley Boys, and then the Dudley Boys themselves were just, I was laughing so hard my face was hurting. It was just that, it was that good. Goldberg at the end was awesome too. Jeff Jarrett and Road Dogg singing My Baby Tonight. That was pretty cool, but it could have been a lot better in my opinion. All that in between, Ivory, but a couple things. Dana Warrior has to go. I don't care who else introduces the Warrior Award. This woman is a pain in the ass to even listen to. She comes up, since the first Warrior Award, which was at the WrestleMania weekend and WrestleMania 31, she sat up there for that entire time before she brought out Connor's father, because Conor the Crusher was the first person to win the award. She sat up there for at least 25 minutes, making a fool out of herself. She's acting like she was a total drunk. She makes the entire Warrior Award mostly more about her husband, her late husband, than the actual person who's supposed to be receiving the recipient. It should be 1-2 minutes about Warrior, and then you introduce you give your little speech about the recipient. You don't need to be taking. I swear, I turned off the volume, but when she was on there, I can't stand listening to her. She is by far one of the worst presenters ever. they need to stop using her, let her be an ambassador, whatever, but have somebody else who actually gives a fuck about the people they're giving it to, the honor of giving out the Warrior Award. She is just insufferable. I can't even listen to her. Another thing, can we have Paul Heyman do the induction of the headliner for every single Hall of Fame from here on out? Because his induction of Goldberg tonight was mwah, mwah, mwah. It was fucking amazing. He is quintessential again, showing why he is one of the best on the mic, in the ring, out of the ring, whenever. He just made Goldberg, which it was funny because they did do the knock on the door, Goldberg come out from the thing when have the police escort. That was awesome. They kept that authentic. Of course, no sparkles. It is the Hall of Fame. Didn't need no pyro, which makes me wonder, will we see pyro for Goldberg at WrestleMania? I mean, they've got to. That'd be cool. And again, the Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian, that was awesome. And yes, they did. Jeff Jarrett and Mark Henry both brought up and discussed about Owen Hart, and Mark Henry himself asked, and I'm pretty much told Martha, which is Owen's widow, that Owen deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and she should just let him be here because he has a right to be in this Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. So those were some great takeaways from the Hall of Fame. And Goldberg and Paul Heyman took some shade at Roman Reigns with, of course, Roman Reigns, Brock. If you listen to what Paul Heyman had to say about Roman Reigns before he introduced Goldberg, you will agree that what he has to say is exactly right about Roman Reigns. So make sure to check out that. Let's get on to the news. Another baby was born into the WWE family with Maria and Mike Kanellis, Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. On arrival of their first child, a baby girl named Frederica Moon. Okay. WWE announced the arrival a couple days ago. Maria and Mike Kanellis welcomed daughter Frederica Moon. We do feel the power of love. You should, because SmackDown superstar Maria and Mike Kanellis just welcomed their first child into the lovely family. This daughter arrived weighing 6 pounds. Mom and baby are both doing great. Please join the WWE in welcoming this new addition to the Kanellis family. So again, welcome to the WWE Universe and the world, Maria and Mike Kanellis' daughter, Frederica Moon Bennett. Not Kanellis. It's only Kanellis in WWE, but their last name is actually Bennett. So good for those guys, and hope everything works out for them. Hopefully, when everything gets on the up and up, we could have Mike Kanellis actually do something in WWE. Maybe since Maria is going to be being a stay-at-home mom probably for a good while, have Mike Kanellis in this superstar shakeup be sent down to NXT. Give this guy to Triple H down in NXT. I'm sure Mike Bennett can do something in NXT. I mean, yes, it's a stack card, but they are introducing the North American Championship tonight. So maybe he could be sent down in NXT at the Superstar Shakeup, because it's been rumored that the next Superstar Shakeup is going to have impact all three brands in the way that superstars will come up and superstars will be sent down. So Mike Kanellis, I could see being, if they were to do that, Mike Kanellis could be one of those guys who was set up for failure on SmackDown, sent down to NXT, have him repackaged. Maria's going to be home, and they move down to Florida. That'd be great. Have him down in NXT for about a year and have him repackaged. She can be at home. He'll be there most of the time anyway because they're in Florida for the most part. And give this guy a chance, a second lease on a WWE career in NXT. And then, say he has success. And then Vince McMahon's like, whoa, who was this guy and where did he come from? Oh, we brought him into the WWE because of his wife. Oh, wow, he actually can do. He's actually a great talent. I hope they do that, because Mike Kanellis pretty much got the short end of the stick when they brought him in, just basically SmackDown to try and be the mirror to Miz and Maurice on Raw. It was a mistake. He should have been sent to NXT, and hopefully with this baby being born, when the Superstar Shakeup happens probably later this month, we'll have Mike Kanellis going down to NXT. They move, if they're not already living there, they move to Florida. They live in Florida. He can be near his wife while their baby grows up. And for the next year, he could be repackaged 3 months later, if they can repackage him fast enough. he comes into NXT and becomes whatever they're going to have him be. Maybe Mike Bennett, maybe Mike Kanellis, not the power or love Mike Kanellis, just a different Mike Kanellis. Triple H with this is the real reason Daniel Bryan was clear to compete. Triple H says he was afraid Bryan would leave WWE to wrestle elsewhere. This is exactly what everyone was wondering. Why did WWE clear Daniel Bryan? This is why. Triple H made the rounds on ESPN earlier this week and spoke to them about Daniel Bryan's WWE in-ring clearance, noting that Bryan was preparing as best he could before WWE cleared him. There's a certain point in time when Daniel is not still cleared by us, but he's gotten clearance from his team and his people and all other things. And I'm sure he was already training and doing things. Triple H said maybe not taking bumps. I'm pretty sure he was taking bumps. But training and doing things he wanted to do to get himself back in shape just in case this day happened. So while we were making him go to additional doctors and running more tests and doing all these things to ensure that everything was all right, he was preparing. Before Bryan got the chance to get back in the ring, Triple H said he was hoping Daniel Bryan wouldn't just throw his hands up about this situation and leave WWE to go somewhere else to wrestle. Which, if Daniel Bryan was not returning to WrestleMania this Sunday, tomorrow, he was going to do just that. He was getting so frustrated with WWE. He knew his brain was fine. He knew he could come back to wrestle, but WWE, for their own agenda to get Roman Reigns over, and I don't care what anyone else says, the whole entire reason WWE refused to clear this guy was because Roman Reigns, because when Daniel Bryan retired, the brand split wasn't around. The brand split wasn't a thing. Daniel Bryan was here, Roman Reigns was down here at the bottom of the barrel, and Daniel Bryan was on the throne. Without Daniel Bryan on the throne, they could push Roman Reigns as much as they could to get him on that throne, which every time they tried, it has not worked, and it will not work this Sunday. With the news that Vince McMahon has decided that match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar will be the final match of the night, I hope the fuck everybody in that arena chants Daniel Bryan and this match sucks the entire 5 minutes that match happens until we have 2 F5s kicked out of and 1 spear. Moving on with this still, Triple H says, part of me was so afraid in the period of time when it was all going down that he was going to walk and say, forget it, and go wrestle for someone else that doesn't care, that doesn't take their health into consideration, because that's pretty much everywhere else. I call fucking bullshit to that 100%. Ring of Honor is right up there with WWE when it comes to this shit. I'm pretty sure New Japan, if Daniel Bryan couldn't wrestle, it'd probably be a little bit more leeway in New Japan, but I'm pretty sure there would be a time when Daniel Bryan would not be able to wrestle in Japan as well. To say that everywhere else does not care and only WWE is the only company, the only wrestling company that fucking cares is fucking bullshit. There have been people in Ring of Honor who had to step away because of injury. So him to say that they are the only ones who fucking care, yet this is the company that misdiagnosed CM Punk of a staph infection that could have fucking killed him, is fucking bullshit and is the dumbest thing I could ever see. And risk his life and his health and his family and his baby and risk all of it, Triple H responded, and it's not worth that. We take enough risk every day in what we do every day. Luckily, we never got there, and luckily things worked out. It's funny because as Bryan was putting out things like, I'm going to do this if they won't let me do that, he was already working the information. He was already getting those tests done. He was already getting that stuff done. Looking back on it, he was already preparing. He was prepping everything about it. Triple H also asked about his WrestleMania 30 match against Bryan and asked how it eventually led to his Bryan becoming the WWE champion. We'll get to that in a second. Again, Triple H to sit there and say everywhere else that nobody fucking cares. This isn't 1995. This isn't the early 2000s. This isn't 2010. The wrestling business has changed. People, yes, you have like guys like Will Ospreay doing stupid ass flips and shit. I guarantee you, if Daniel Bryan had a massive concussion nowadays or some kind of bad injury in Ring of Honor, they would actually not allow him to wrestle there. Daniel Bryan's not going to go to the minor leagues. Daniel Bryan's not going to go to like CZW or any of those other like small promotions. He's going to go to the big promotions like Ring of Honor, like New Japan, which I'm sure New Japan, like I said, Daniel Bryan could probably break his foot and they'd probably let him wrestle a little bit. I mean, one of the top stars, I think it's like Takahashi and one of those guys, had his leg or arm pretty much ripped from its socket, and he had to be taken off a card. Rey Mysterio was supposed to wrestle what Strong Style Evolved, tore his bicep. Ring of Honor, he wasn't allowed to wrestle in New Japan. Triple H saying nobody else cares about wrestlers' health is one of the worst things, is one of the most asinine things and hypocritical things I have ever heard him utter. I mean, come on, give me a fucking break. You still act like you guys are the be all end all, and everyone else is just shit. Fucking bullshit, and you know it. Okay, now Triple H on his WrestleMania 30 match and how it eventually led to Bryan becoming a WWE champion. He goes on to say, I put so much pressure on myself to lose to somebody than I ever did to win a title. Yeah, because all you had to do was I can see that because you politicked yourself so many times into win matches and win titles, it wasn't even funny. I just want it to be such a big moment for this guy, said Triple H, watching that story evolve over that long period of time, which if it wasn't for CM Punk in the crowd shitting on the Royal Rumble and other things, that would have never happened. So right there, I haven't finished it yet, but right there, Triple H sounding like, oh, well, that was the plan the whole time. Anybody who sits down and thinks that Triple H versus Daniel Bryan to get to the main event of WrestleMania was always the plan, you're fooling yourself. Being behind it with him and being like, man, I know this is not the plan right this moment, but this is where we need to go. Just seeing that feeling and getting that moment, having that match with him and having that moment and knowing that what's coming later and being out there is that moment for him. When you have these circumstances that all works out to make this fairy tale moment, it's just awesome. Of course, the original match for WrestleMania 34, Daniel Bryan, was to have Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan 3, which would have been just, I think that match would have went down. And if CM Punk doesn't walk out and we get Triple H versus CM Punk, Randy Orton versus Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus at WrestleMania 30, I guarantee you that pay-per-view probably would have been worse than WrestleMania 32, which happened 2 years later. I mean, WrestleMania 32 is obviously one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. I think this one would have rivaled it if they wouldn't have changed course. So, yeah, sitting there acting like, oh, everything was planned, that's how everything was supposed to go. Yeah, keep fooling yourself. Of course, WrestleMania 34, Triple H will team with his wife Stephanie to take on Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle in another tag team match, which we'll get to a couple planned partners, original planned partners for Ronda Rousey here in a little bit. Daniel Bryan is scheduled to team with Shane McMahon against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I honestly don't think I think something's going to happen with Shane McMahon where he's either going to have an injury angle where he's going to get beat down in the pre-show and Daniel Bryan has to find a last-minute partner and it's going to be somebody great. Or there's a lot of talk that Shane McMahon might actually turn heel, which makes absolutely no sense. Alrighty, moving on here. More on WWE moving to Fox. Of course, everyone knows that WWE is getting close to their period where they get to talk exclusively with NBC Universal about an extension if things don't get signed between them and NBC Universal by a certain date. Of course, they can open up to other places, and Fox is going to be one of those ones if things with the UFC do not work out between UFC and Fox. It was noticed in the latest issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that there has been a lot of talk that the UFC's television negotiations aren't going well. UFC's contract with Fox expires this year, and the Sports Business Journal recently reported that the Fox offered the UFC $200 million per year, far less than the $450 million annual that the company is seeking. UFC is currently averaging $120 million per year under the current deal with Fox, with the fee for the final year being $160 million. First and foremost, if you're making $120, I don't think UFC is worth $450 million a year. I'm just saying. I don't think $450 million a year is UFC worthy. Just saying. It's a novelty sport to me still. I know there's hardcore fans for UFC, but you only fighters fight once every year, once or twice a year. I mean, yeah, that's what Brock Lesnar does in WWE, but seriously, so if you want to see I know Conor McGregor did a bunch of shit on Thursday, and I'm not going to get into that, but if Conor McGregor comes back to UFC, he'll fight in September. Like, say he fought in June. He won't fight again for another 6 months, and then he'll fight there, and then he won't fight for another 6 months. They fight 2, maybe 3 times a year, and if you're only a fan of this one fighter, you're not gonna buy these pay-per-views on a monthly basis. It's a novelty sport, in my opinion, because yes, there's hardcore fans who want to see every fight, but not really. So $450 million a year annual? No, they are not worth $450 million a year. I don't think they'll get that from anybody. So you're going to be making what? 20 more million than you did last year, than in the final year? I would take that. Why do you want to go $450 million? You're not going to make that from Fox, especially. I don't think anybody will give that to him. The Sporting News also had a story last month about Fox being more interested in securing the television rights for WWE than renewing with UFC. WWE's current deal with the NBC Universal UFC Network expires on September 30th of next year. The move would reportedly see Raw cut back to 2 hours and move to Fox on Mondays nights, while SmackDown would move to FS1 on Tuesday. Fox is definitely trying to get the WWE, a source said in the story. They'll pass on UFC, then use Raw for the Fox Broadcasting FS1 content. It was noted in your Observer that Fox would be able to acquire WWE television rights for a similar amount of what they offer the UFC, while WWE delivers higher ratings than the MMA juggernaut. Yeah, because in my opinion, as I said, UFC is a novelty act. If your favorite fighter, if one of your favorite fighters is on an episode of UFC Fight Night or one of those UFC undercard shows or the shows that you're going to be watching, you'll watch it. If they're not, you're going to be like, they're not on there, so I'm not going to watch. Raw, SmackDown, Raw and SmackDown, if AJ Styles is on their shows most of the time, most fans are AJ Styles fans. Same thing with people like Rusev Day. Rusev's on a lot of shows, maybe not as much as AJ Styles, but Rusev's on the show a lot. People are going to watch for him. There's kids who love the New Day. More kids love WWE than UFC. So you're going to have families who are going to watch the WWE over the UFC. So again, WWE has more appeal to Fox than the UFC does. WWE, in my opinion, would get, and this is the thing, if Fox was to get the WWE, yes, Raw would cut back to 2 hours, which would be great. No more filler. A big problem with this, though, is with the superstar, with Andrade Cien is reportedly coming up, with Ember Moon, the Authors of Pain, Sanity, all coming up. That's 7 or 8, 9. That's like 7 or 8 superstars right there. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay also reported to be coming up. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa also reportedly coming up in the near future. Of course, not all of these are going to come after WrestleMania. That's what the Superstars Shakeup's going to be for. So these rosters are going to be stacked. Maybe you'll see more up, and we'll probably have more people coming up at the end of this year too, like we had Asuka last year, along with Bobby Roode. We had more people come. We had more call-ups last year. We had some at the Royal Rumble, some after WrestleMania. Well, night after Royal Rumble, night after WrestleMania, and the night after that. SummerSlam we had a couple call-ups, I believe, too. And in Survivor Series we had the women come up, Absolution and the Riot Squad. So WWE is going to be having, the main rosters are going to be stacked. The one problem with going back to 2 hours, there's 2 of them. There's no more overruns, so Raw will be done at 10 o'clock East every time. And these rosters are going to be so stacked that almost nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to be able to be used right except for the top stars. This is why I don't want to see dual branded pay-per-views every single month, because only the big stars are going to be used. We won't see mid-card feuds anymore. It will just be title matches and the big stars, and that's it. So that is a big problem WWE is going to need to figure out if they're going to go back to 2 hours, which Raw desperately needs to, and SmackDown and all that good stuff. WWE has some good news coming out this past week, getting cleared by a federal judge on concussion lawsuits. A federal judge has cleared WWE from a concussion lawsuit filed by 2 former wrestlers in the company, Vito Grasso, and Evan Singleton. While Singleton did not compete on the main program, Grasso popularized himself as Big Vito, part of the one of the incarnations of the FBI, and then the guy who ended up becoming crossdresser. Yay, ruthless aggression era! And competing in both ECW and WCW for his WWE run. The wrestlers alleged that WWE committed fraud by failing to disclose the link between concussions and permanent damage. However, Judge Vanessa Bryan dismissed these claims based on a number of factors. The evidence does not support a finding that WWE knew of a risk that repeated head injuries incurred while performance as a professional wrestler could cause permanent degenerated neurological conditions, Judge Bryan wrote in a 21-page filing. The wrestlers also claimed that the head trauma work of Joseph Maroon, who was responsible for making the final decision of clearing Daniel Bryan to return to the ring in ring action. And Mark Lovell dates back to the 1980s, but Judge Bryan refuted this claim, stating that they did not work for the WWE at the time. According to Bryan, 2008 was the earliest that their knowledge could be imputed to WWE, and Augusta competed with the WWE from 2005 to 2007. Judge Bryan also rejected the argument of WWE learning of the dangers of concussions by former competitor Chris Nowinski, who stated his own concussion research company after having to retire from wrestling in 2003 due to continuous post-concussion symptoms. Plaintiffs now have not offered any new evidence showing that WWE was aware of Nowinski's research, that anyone at WWE read Nowinski's book, or that anything in Nowinski's book would suggest a link between professional wrestling and permanent degenerative neurological conditions, Bryan concluded. In addition, she also refuted claims of WWE concealing their awareness of Chris Benoit's CTE diagnosis to Lo Grasso. Although WWE attempted to discredit the findings that Benoit had CTE and tried to distance WWE from Benoit's behavior, no reasonable jury could find that WWE concealed the fact that Benoit's diagnosis from Vito, Bryant stated. For Singleton, his career ended in 2012 when he did not take a chokeslam properly. He claimed that he did not attempt a presentation by Maroon a month earlier, which provided insight on the topics of drug abuse and concussion risk. As a result, Bryan deemed Singleton's claim inconsistent with WWE withholding information for the purpose of inducing him to continue wrestling. Yeah, so if you're going to sit there and blame WWE for concealing information from you, but yet you're going to sit there and say, I didn't go to this person's seminar on this information, that's your own fault. Vito claimed that he suffered head trauma in 5 matches during his 2-year stint in the WWE. During the May 16, 2016 video disposition, Vito recalled a 6-man tag team match, multiple match against William Regal, and one with Mr. Kennedy. In one of those matches against Regal, he hit his head but didn't know if he had a concussion. He also admitted that he did not review his medical records and went back and forth on his testimony on whether he watched the matches where he claims that head trauma was suffered. Yeah, so you can't just say, oh, I hit my head, I have a concussion. You can hit your head and just be completely fine. It's just this guy. This is basically Big Vito and this other guy sitting there trying, well, we don't have any money, so come pay me. Pay me money. I'm not making enough on the indies, so I'm going to sue WWE to make money. So, good on WWE for being able to get clear to that. And here's the thing when it comes to concussion lawsuits. You go into the wrestling business, you hit your head, it hurts. Give me a break. Same thing with the football thing. You hit your head, you get your head hit, you get something hit your head with, it's going to fucking hurt. You know this, you should know this going into the business. If you go into the business thinking, oh, I'm going to be fine, this stuff's not going to hurt me, then yeah, you're fucking fooling yourself. You're going to get hurt. This is why they say it's not ballet. If WWE did hold back information that they knew that that concussions were going to be lasting, then yes, that's a problem. But no, you can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm going to sue WWE because I feel like it. No. So good on WWE. I think this concussion lawsuit getting thrown out is also a good reason for them to be able to clear Daniel Bryan, because they don't have to feel obligated to keep him held back. So it's like, oh, well, we have this concussion lawsuit. If we clear this guy who's had multiple concussions and admitted to have multiple concussions, it makes us look bad and gives these guys more fuel to the fire. This one is an interesting one. This next one, did Rusev ask for his release, and how this ties into his U.S. title match this coming Sunday at WrestleMania. On the latest edition of PW Insider, Elite Audio, Mike Johnson revealed a possible reason why Rusev was the last-minute addition to the U.S. title match at WrestleMania. Johnson said that at least one source told him that Rusev had been unhappy at how he was being used and asked for his release. Do you blame the guy? Do you blame the guy? This guy has been, since the Rusev Day thing started late last year or mid last year when he got paired with Aiden English, which again is reminiscent of Mizdow, Damien Mizdow, when him and Miz were thrown together and he was a partner. WWE just loves killing their talent. Bad News Barrett. He got over with just saying, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. He got over. Did WWE want him to get over? Fuck no. He wasn't in their plans, so they killed it. Ty Dillinger. He comes up 1 year ago last week. And what did WWE do? They killed it. They killed Ty Dillinger. They don't like the 10 chance, so let's keep him off TV. The last time he was actually on TV in a meaningless 8-man tag match. And the last time he was on TV, I'm pretty sure before that was maybe the Royal Rumble when he got in like the Tuesday after the Royal Rumble where he got beat by Baron Corbin. I think that was the last time he was on TV. He doesn't even get an entrance on TV anymore. He's just in the ring when the match starts. Zack Ryder got himself over on his fucking own by doing Z-Loot True Long Island Story. Fans channel, we want Ryder. WWE's like, fine, we'll give him the U.S. Championship. What'd they do? Killed him. WWE is going to do the same thing here. But what did Rusev do? He's like, fuck this. I want to leave. I know I'm worth more than this. I know I can be a great big star. I'll do the same thing Cody does. I'm going to leave WWE, and I'm going to go probably have a Bulgarian flag blazing over a Bullet Club shirt. Maybe, maybe not. He wouldn't be called Rusev. I don't know what his name would actually be because I know his name isn't Alexander Rusev in real life. So, putting Rusev in the U.S. title match is meant to placate the Bulgarian Brute. If he does, and this is why I'm with my predictions, if you go watch that on the channel, you'll see why I say he should win the U.S. title, because what's the point of putting him in the match at all just to say, well, we don't want you to leave because if you leave, you're making way too much money for us, but if you leave, we're not going to be able to sell your shirts anymore, so we're not going to let you leave by putting you in this match at WrestleMania, but you're not going to win the title. What would be the fucking point? He should win the match. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he doesn't, WWE will make one of the biggest blunders of the year, and we're only in April. So we have May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. We have 9 months, 8 months. And I guarantee you this will not be the last blunder of the year if they don't give him the title at WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey says she wants to work with a certain advocate in WWE. Rousey is looking to have Paul Heyman represent her in the WWE storylines, according to Wrestling Observer newsletter. It was noted that Rousey will likely not become a Paul Heyman girl due to internal company politics, as the pairing would not fit the big picture narrative of why Rousey was signed. The idea for Rousey to be the babyface antagonist to Stephanie McMahon, and Heyman's role is seen as more of a heel, even though WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar ended up being a babyface with Paul Heyman representing him. Do you blame fans for making Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar faces? You pair him up against Roman Reigns, people are gonna fucking cheer. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He beat the fuck out of handcuffed Roman Reigns. You're supposed to have people boo the hell out of him because, oh my god, he's beating up a helpless man. You're beating up an innocent man. No, he's beating up a guy who is beating up quote-unquote cops. So yeah, he's putting him up against somebody that people actually care about. And if you want Brock Lesnar to be and Paul Heyman to be known as a heel, you have him go up against AJ Styles. You have him go up against Daniel Bryan, and you have Paul Heyman sit there and just drill into them why they suck, why Brock Lesnar is going to beat them. Also, Paul Heyman is actually loved by the fans because of his good mic work, because unlike everybody else in the WWE, minus Elias, John Cena, and The Miz, he gets to say what the fuck he wants. He gets to shoot from the hip. Some do feel that the WWE fan base will eventually turn on Ronda Rousey. Yes, I have a feeling they will, because she can't talk. She can't talk on the fucking mic. She smiles way too fucking much. She's too overwhelmed. In this Sunday's match is make or break for Ronda Rousey. I have a feeling majority of the match is going to be Triple H and Triple H and Kurt Angle, because it's Ronda Rousey against Stephanie McMahon, and Stephanie is not a wrestler. She might have a superstar's contract, but she's not a wrestler. She was never a wrestler. She was never trained to be a wrestler. She's not a wrestler. She is just somebody they're going to have go out there and get her arm tore out, and that's it. Rousey is also in the WWE because the outside world will see her as the biggest star in the company, because she has strong drawing power. No, she doesn't, with the female fans. But the Observer noted that the limited data that shows raw viewership with men is way up with Rousey on it, but female viewership is not. Do you blame them? She sits there with a smile on her face when she's getting torn to shreds. They did a video package about 2 weeks ago with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, pretty much just tearing those two to shreds, and Ronda Rousey comes out with a big smile on her face. Nobody's gonna like Ronda Rousey. And it all depends after this match. If this match is even good, when we get done with WrestleMania, where do you go from there with Ronda Rousey? You can't just have her go after especially if she actually tears, if she, in storyline, injures Stephanie McMahon, what are you going to do with Rousey then? Is she going to go away, go to the Performance Center and get herself up and, work in the ring? What are you going to do with her? I don't know what they're going to do with her after WrestleMania. We already got to WrestleMania with her. The question is, what do they have planned for her after? They got her there in the shittiest way possible, because it's been a horrible build as it is, other than her doing a piss poor Samoan drop on Stephanie. Where do you go after that? That is the question. Speaking of Ronda Rousey, her original tag team partners, besides The Rock, who else do they have? In Wrestling Observer Newsletter recently, Dave Meltzer spoke about Ronda Rousey's upcoming in-ring debut at WrestleMania. Meltzer revealed two interesting names who were considered to be a potential partner for Rousey before deciding on Kurt Angle. Of course, the first was The Rock, to bring the story from WrestleMania 31 full circle. However, with The Rock's obligations in Hollywood, it is understandable that movie studios don't want to take a chance on Rock getting injured. The second name was supposedly Batista. Meltzer says that Batista was approached but refused the offer. He didn't reveal a possible reason behind Batista's refusal, but we do have more on the original plan on why this fell through. According to recent reports, Batista was in talks for a WWE return as Ronda Rousey's partner at WrestleMania, but the discussion fell through for a somewhat surprising reason. Pro Wrestling Street has confirmed an earlier report by the Wrestling Observer Newsletter about Batista being in talks with being Ronda Rousey's partner, and went on to say he had several conversations with Triple H about the role. According to Pro Wrestling Street, the talks went well enough where it looked like this match could be used to plant the seeds for a WrestleMania 35 match between Triple H and Batista, which is a match Batista publicly said he would welcome. From there, it was said the talk stopped sometime in January, and while Batista had a strong feeling he would be at this year's event, he never heard from Triple H or WWE about the match. Kurt Angle was later announced as Rousey's partner, and it was said that Batista was not notified or even given a courtesy call about it, even after he reached out to them about an update. So, for whatever reason, WWE was like, we're not going to be able to get Dave, so we're going to go with Kurt Angle. Rock was never going to happen, plain and simple. The Rock was not, I know, people were like, we want Rock and Rousey because of what happened at 31. I knew immediately it was not going to happen. Yes, Rock had a 6-second match, I believe, at WrestleMania 32, his last appearance at WrestleMania, but he wasn't going to be available. Movie studios don't want him to get injured after his WrestleMania 29 match, where he tore his abductor muscle, and he was supposed to be filming a movie after that match, and they had to take about 6 months off so he could heal. Yes, and when it comes to WWE and The Rock, he's not going to be able to wrestle anymore unless he actually says, you know what? I want to have one more run in WWE, so I'm going to stop making movies for about 6 months so he can get ready for wrestling and at least give that build up. Backstage plans for Taker and Cena at WrestleMania. As you go watch my WrestleMania preview and prediction show, you will actually hear my feelings at the beginning of that, why I do not give a fuck about this match or what's actually going to happen. As seen on Raw this past Monday night, The Undertaker did not respond to John Cena's challenge for a match at WrestleMania, which I think was fucking stupid. The bout has been expected for months, with Taker's wife Michelle McCool even posting videos of The Undertaker's training. If the match ends up taking place as expected, it will be the first time that a major WrestleMania match would take place that had been built up without even being announced on television. Either way, Taker will clearly be at WrestleMania in some form, whether it's a match with Cena or a segment that leads to a physical altercation between the two. Dave Meltzer reported in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer that Vince McMahon believes that the audience knows that Taker will be showing up this Sunday, so this is the story to bring him back to get his revenge on Cena. As a source told the Observer that there is the belief that announcing the match in advance wouldn't lead to additional network subscribers. Yeah, Vince, probably, because there's a lot of people pissed as fuck that there was no announcement, no tease, no nothing. It's just John Cena going as a fan. And you expect people to actually give a fuck about your product. This is one of the worst things I think I've ever seen them do for WrestleMania. You could have did, like I said, Cena goes to leave, lights go out, on the Titantron Sunday. That's all you would have needed. Or at WrestleMania, whatever, and you would have got the match. First off, besides the pre-show, there are 10 matches at WrestleMania. We don't need an 11th one. Plain and simple. Since the fans who would want to see it would be watching the event on the network anyway, the source said that their storyline is McMahon's, and he's happy with it. And that I think the part of it is that Vince McMahon can say people are invested in on the mere chance Undertaker will show up. I have not been since Roman Reigns had a shitty, terrible, horrible match with Undertaker last year. Undertaker his character can stay buried, and I don't want to see it again, actually, until he goes into the Hall of Fame. That's it. While it's not known if the Cena Undertaker segment at WrestleMania will be an actual match or a confrontation to build to a bout next year, Meltzer noted that it was scheduled to be a match several months ago, which of course plans change at a whim. Oh, we could be halfway through WrestleMania and plans change like that. That's what happened at WrestleMania 31. We started WrestleMania 31 off, and it was a clear-cut Roman Reigns was supposed to walk out WWE Champion. Seth Rollins even attests to this. About a half an hour before that match was supposed to go on, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and Seth Rollins were all brought in together and told the change of the match. So it would not be the first time WWE would do something like that. As noted, WWE posted the following blurb regarding Cena Undertaker storyline after Raw this past Monday. And so, what now for Cena? With The Undertaker offering no answer to his challenge, perhaps the showdown between the two iconic superstars is simply not meant to be. Is Cena destined to experience this year's Showcase of the Immortals as a spectator? Will he aid another superstar to victory, or perhaps offer his expert knowledge on the greatest standards of them all as a guest commentator? Or is there still a chance that a match between Cena and The Undertaker may take place? Find out this Sunday at WrestleMania, streaming live on WWE Network, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't care. I don't see how, and this is the thing. If you have a confrontation between these two and it sets up a match for next year's WrestleMania, how the fuck are you going to build? You did this once with the once in a lifetime, and half the time you didn't even realize, how are you going to keep people invested from 34 to 35 for that match? Undertaker and Cena will both be a year older. Maybe, and this is like JD from NY206 pointed this out. Undertaker has been talking about trying to get hinting at trying to get hip surgery so he could have that one last hurrah. Maybe Undertaker wants to get that hip surgery, and having a match this year would not be good enough for him, and he wants to be in this match against John Cena at his best as he can be. So maybe he's going to have hip surgery. Maybe he'll come to WrestleMania. They'll have whatever they're talking about next year, which is going to get a lot of boos at WrestleMania. I guarantee you, as soon as if they try and even think about having Undertaker and Cena come out, him and Cena have some kind of stare down or whatever, and they say this match will not happen this year, but it's going to happen in New York. I guarantee you that place is going to boo these two. They'll boo the hell out of these guys. So Vince McMahon better tread lightly on how he does this. You might want to say that for the night after WrestleMania if you're going to do that, so you can just do what you did with The Rock and John Cena for WrestleMania 28. Do I care? No, I really don't. And if Undertaker shows up, okay. If he doesn't, I won't. It won't kill my WrestleMania if Undertaker is a no-show. If Undertaker was not to show up at WrestleMania, I would not be like, oh, this night's ruined, Undertaker didn't show up, blah, blah, blah. No, I won't care. If Undertaker does not show up at WrestleMania, I honestly will not miss it, and it will still be a good, as long as they do things right with certain matches, it will still be a good night. So that is my feelings on that. Speaking of the kickoff show that we talked about earlier, there have been guest commentators announced for the kickoff show for WrestleMania 34. There will be 3 historic matches, I don't know how you say historic, but whatever, on the kickoff show. The first ever Women's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania Battle Royal, minus the Divas Battle Royal from WrestleMania 25, featuring Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix as a special commentator. For the 5th annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, featuring special guest commentators, Hall of Famers Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. And the finals for the WWE Cruiserweight Tournament featuring Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. Now, when I heard Pro Wrestling Unlimited's video for these guest commentators, they were under the impression that the Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross are going to be commentating on both the Battle Royal and the Cruiserweight Championship match, and I don't think that's the case. It's going to be Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler for the Battle Royal. And if you read this right, there's 3 historic matches in quotes. The 2 Battle Royals will have guest commentators, and there's going to be the Cruiserweight Championship Finals match. So, PW Unlimited, if you were to see this, which I doubt, you guys read that wrong. It's only going to be for the Battle Royal. And if Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross are going to be for the Cruiserweight Championship match too, Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness, I would be pissed as fuck, because you guys, those two have been excited to be a part of this WrestleMania kickoff show match. And if they get bumped for JR and Jerry the King Lawler, I would be pissed, even though, it's JR and Jerry the King Lawler. CM Punk's next opponent has been named by Dana White. We are going on to the MMA world for a minute. Dana White confirmed to TMZ Sports earlier this week that CM Punk's second MMA fight will be against Mike the Truth Jackson. Videos from the interviewers have been shown. Like Punk, Jackson has an MMA record of 0 wins and 1 loss. There's no official word yet on when Punk vs. Jackson will take place, but as noted before, Punk indicated on Twitter that his second fight will take place on Saturday, June 9th at UFC 225. Speaking of UFC 220s, 223, which is happening tonight, is probably going to be one of the hardest shows to put on, because they've already had multiple injuries, multiple things. Conor McGregor's bullshit that happened before has cost at least 1 or 2 other fighters from being pulled from the show. So 223, I don't even know if they're going to be able to put that show on. In his hometown of Chicago, the former WWE champion lost his MMA debut against Mickey Gall at 203 in September 2016, losing quickly by submission in the first round. So apparently, Mike the Truth Jackson has also lost to Mickey Gall very fast. So the UFC and Dana White are really good at doing this marketing thing, having him go up against someone with a similar record, against similar traits. Maybe CM Punk might have a chance of winning. If CM Punk was to end up winning his second match, maybe he goes 1-1. And it's a good match, an okay match. Maybe Dana White's like, let's give him another shot. Let's give him another opponent. Let's see what we can do. Give CM Punk a third shot if CM Punk still wants to go and fight. If CM Punk gets that win under his belt, maybe that would be vindication for him. Maybe like, okay, I've done this. Let's see what else I can do. Moving on from that, Dana White confirms Lesnar will be back in the UFC, which everybody could have saw coming. White also talked more about Universal Champion Brock Lesnar returning to the UFC. As noted, White appeared on Fox Sports earlier this week and stated that the Beast is returning to the Octagon. He said, yeah, Brock Lesnar is coming back. I don't know when, but yes, he is. I don't know. We've got to see how the heavyweight division plays out. White said when asked about who Lesnar might face in his return fight, Stipe Miocic is fighting Daniel Cormier. I'm sorry, Miocic, I messed your name up. Daniel Cormier. And after that fight happens, we'll have a better idea of what we do with Brock. In late 2008, it could be late 2018 or early 2019 before Lesnar returns to the Octagon, as the Cormier versus Miocic fight that White referenced to is scheduled for UFC 226 on July 7th. Dana White also agreed that people would love to see Lesnar versus Francis Ngannou. Some of these UFC fighters have got some weird ass fucking names. I apologize. Lesnar's WWE contract is set to expire after his match with Roman Reigns on Sunday at WrestleMania 34, which will probably take place at little past midnight on the 9th, but whatever. WWE officials have been trying to sign him to a new deal. We don't know if that is going to happen. It won't. It won't. So Brock Lesnar is going to leave. That's no news to anybody else. And this is WWE, of course. Like, in the past, WWE probably would have been pissed if Dana White would have said something about this before the match actually happened. But I'm sure Vince McMahon's like, oh, this is great. Dana White making our jobs easier. People are going to come into WrestleMania. They're going to boo the hell out of Brock Lesnar because he's going to leave. He's going to leave and leave us all here. He's going to leave and everyone's going to boo him. We're going to get to New Orleans. Brock Lesnar's music's going to hit, and we're probably going to get 80,000 people, 75 to 80,000 people cheering this guy. As soon as Roman Reigns' music hits. Hall of Fame last night. Roman Reigns was shown on the screen twice. Jarius J.J. Robinson, who is a big Roman Reigns fan, mentioned Roman's name, and Roman Reigns got booed. So, WWE thinking Roman Reigns is over, wait till WrestleMania happens. Just wait. Just you wait. He is going to get booed out of that building, and the fact that Vince McMahon wants to put that match on last is going to make this WrestleMania go from what could be a great WrestleMania to a dud. Bank on it. Alright, we're going to finish up here, guys. It is a shorter episode than I would like it to be. There really wasn't anything I could find for news. It's just one of those things. WrestleMania is happening so soon. So, and the OVW thing just broke a little bit after Friday in the afternoon. So, I was glad to be able to get a little bit of that and talk about it for a second, but not much. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, they did have a new WWE Network commercial, which I'm sure will play during the NXT TakeOver and at WrestleMania, where they showed off some new matches, new shows, and confirmed that the Mae Young Classic will be back this year or next year, maybe early next year, and the King of the Ring is returning as a UK-only tournament. WWE confirmed the Mae Young Classic will return for a second time and revealed a new King of the Ring tournament exclusive to the United Kingdom. Both events were confirmed in a new network promo scene during the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. The promo also confirmed the following new specials and renewed series. Elias Unplugged, which I don't know what it's going to go with. Something else to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. So WWE is not bringing back the Steve Austin show or Chris Jericho. We're getting Bruce Pritchard. Hey, why not? Why not? If he's going to at least get, I love like these things with guys like Bruce Pritchard, with like Jim Cornette and all those guys who can talk about old stories. WWE is also doing a new 365. Of course, the first 365 was Kevin Owens. And there was a tease that I guess the next one was supposed to be Jinder Mahal, which if it was, I'm glad WWE scrapped that. This one is going to be AJ Styles, and I am definitely looking forward to that one. The question is, when does it start and when does it end? That is a good one. WWE 24 for 3 of them. The Hardys, Woken, Raw 25, and Ronda Rousey. Great, that is awesome. Love myself some WWE 24. Renewed series. Camp WWE. Does anybody remember Camp WWE? I thought they were done with that. Table for 3. Another one of those series I fucking love, even though I guess they leave out a lot. Right along, the Edge and Christian show. So all you Edge heads out there and peeps, you got your show back. And WWE Story Time. So a lot coming to the WWE Network in the next 12 months. So guys, buckle in. Really need that WWE Network subscription because they just pronounced tonight a lot of things that you are not going to want to miss on the WWE Network for $9.99, by the way. But that is going to be all for this episode of Unscripted. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you find me on twitch.tv/thefront08, find me on Facebook, I'm not Facebook, Twitter at The Front. I don't know why I keep saying Facebook. And if you haven't seen the Raw review from this week's SmackDown, NXT TakeOver New Orleans preview and predictions, WrestleMania preview and predictions. They are all on the channel right now, and I will be back tonight for the NXT TakeOver New Orleans results and reaction show. You will hear my natural reactions from the show not too long after it gets done. You will hear those reactions. I will be on here Right, I'll probably like get up, take a piss break, and then come back and just have my reactions to the show. And if it's anything like Takeover Philadelphia, where I was like I was like mentally like I was in like I was shook. It's going to be a hell of a night, and I cannot wait to see that new North American Championship shown and won by somebody. Until then, you guys have a good one, and I will see you guys for NXT Takeover tonight.